G'day everybody and welcome to the House of Mario, the South Australian Nintendo podcast that is backed by a 120 Power Star rating. I'm your host Drew Agnew and the doors to episode 222 are open. This week on the show, Saudi Arabia's bloody bought a bit of Nintendo and we've got a bit to say about it. And joining me as always is my best mate Bryce DeWitt. Bryce, how you going my friend?
I'm good. I'm good, yeah. I'm alright.
Oh, yeah, that's good.
Had a good day, yeah.
Well, that's great. What's your day involved?
I made a big lasagna.
Oh, fantastic!
No, I perfected my lasagna. I'm very, very proud of it. It's really good. Yeah, turned out quite well.
All right. So, what did you do differently this time?
Oh, I slow cooked the stuff to start with, but then just throughout the day, like as it sort of cooked through, I removed a bunch of the fat and excess water from the tomatoes weeping and stuff like that, just so that when you go and cut the fucking thing up, it wouldn't just be grossness. Whenever you just plopped it on a plate, here you go, son, my fucking wet soggy lasagna. Yeah, it worked out really well actually. It did extremely well. So probably the best lasagna I've ever made. So that was a good use of my day.
Yeah. So no, just sloppy cafeteria lasagna at Bryce's house.
Exactly.
Serving up the best cheese.
Shit.
Yeah.
They make some premium shit, dude.
Yeah. No, absolutely. My days I just try and get through them at the moment, just with Lucas. Being a baby, getting used to it still.
Welcome to parenthood.
Yeah. No, it's interesting, isn't it?
He's a cute boy, though, mate.
Oh, he is a cute boy. Yeah, no.
He's a cute boy.
It's like sort of a quiet time on the farm, so some days when I can, I stay home and make sure Chantel's all good with him and get some time in him, talk to him, do little coos. It's very cute.
He is. He's a very cute baby. He's an extremely cute baby.
I'm biased, but Bryce isn't, so I'll take it.
Yeah, no, that's right. Exactly, yeah. You know, there's a lot of cute babies in this world, mate, but yours is one of the top rung, all right? He's a very cute little baby.
Yeah, absolutely. No, so apart from lasagna, is that literally what your week's entailed? You've had a run in at the pub. We've had an election. Had an election here, Bryce, over the last couple of days, and stirring up some farmers at the pub.
I didn't stir up jack shit. Long story short of it is somebody that we both mutually know. He got fired up because somebody said something in defense of women, believe it or not. And God forbid that he said something in defense of women, because this mutual person we know, he really ramped up and started complaining about stupid shit. And basically he made some comments about how I don't know, Albo's not fit to run the country or whatever. And I was like, I'm like, what's the difference? He said something like, he didn't know his dad and his mother was a honky, or who's not fit to run a country, he has no idea what the general family is like. And I said, well, I had no father. So what does that make me, Pat? And he backpedaled on that one pretty quick. And then he backpedaled on that one because he's like, oh, shit.
It's a fuck.
I can't insult somebody that doesn't have a dad when there's somebody without a dad in the room. What the fuck? And then he said something like, he doesn't know left from right or whatever. So I was like, perfect time to sort of throwing in an icebreaker to hopefully break up the thing. And it was like, he said something like, Albo doesn't know left from right or whatever. And I'm just like, and ScoMo doesn't know how to cook a chicken curry, but here we are. And he took it as a personal offense and he railed into me with some personal bullshit. So politics, everybody, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's funny. Like most of the people in my life, they're like, yeah, look, they're either into it a little bit and just make sure they put their vote where they believe it should go,
Mhm.
or they don't care about it at all. But some people just really get fired up about it, even like the smallest thing. Especially when you're picking a side, which it's not even like, oh look, I agree with their policies. It's just like, I believe women shouldn't be at work or something. It's like, oh fucking hell, you're a bit backwards.
Yeah, no, yeah, yeah. It was like beyond that. It was like women shouldn't be at work, and then it was like women are effing useless. I'm like,
Jesus Christ, man.
okay, all right then. I'm like, all right, yep, okay, whatever you say. And then,
The joys of
yeah.
hospitality.
Oh mate, no, yeah, joys of terrible values in human beings is what that is.
Yeah,
But
I think we got. Unfortunately, we've got to touch on that a little bit further in the show.
yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, but before we get to that, there's not much news this week. We've got pretty much a clean slate for a show, so let's just enjoy it, Bryce. Let's talk about some games before we have to get to the crappier stuff. So, been playing much? Been enjoying many video games, or just been observing from afar, seeing what's going on? YouTube Let's Plays. Still doing your Twitch streaming and all that?
Yeah, I do a lot of Twitch streaming. In fact, that's been most of my gaming time. I feel like, it's been a bit mishmashy for the past few weeks, I suppose. Because for those who didn't catch it, I finished my my main quest playthrough of Kart Control Breath of the Wild. I'll be going back to do the DLC, and maybe in a little bit. I'm taking a bit of a break from it because it's a very involved process, Crowd Control, especially when you're doing it for 8 weeks. So I stopped that for a bit, and then I picked up Kingdom Hearts 3 to do the Remind DLC out of a request. I started playing a banjo mod, and then I play something multiplayer with a group of people every weekend. And then if I can sneak in a stream in between that, I'll try, so I can get 4 streams out in a week. But yeah, and then what was it like? I test trialed a day stream with Monster Hunter Rise, which went over okay. Because when both the kids are in school, it'd be good to day stream while Jade's getting a rest and whatever for work. It'd give me something to do during the day while I'm waiting to pick the kids up and stuff. Yeah. So overall, it's been pretty good. But most of my gaming time has been in streaming and just sort of it's very cataloged. You can go back and watch it all.
Yeah, literally just go back and watch all of your gameplay through the week.
Yeah, exactly. You could. It's right there. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. I've been the game I've been waiting to come on sale has finally come on sale. I bought it on Steam, but now I've bought it on Switch as well. And that's Atelier Sophie 2. I've been waiting for that to go on sale because it's a $90 game. I'm like, I'm not paying $90.
Nah.
So it went on sale for $25. So I bought it there. Haven't played it yet. I just downloaded it late last night, and after we finish recording here, I'm gonna dive into it because I found with like at least like within the last week, I just never got to my computer. So I'm like, oh, geez, I should just get it on Switch and I can actually play the goddamn thing. Whether I do a refund or not on Steam, I don't know. That is the good thing about Steam, at least. At least you can be like within 2 weeks and 2 hours, you can apply for that redemption, which is good. So I might do that, or maybe I'll keep it. I don't know. I probably shouldn't. But apart from that, I've just been enjoying some like 2D games on Switch, and a lot of it's been through Nintendo Switch Online. And a game that I've actually come a little bit addicted to recently is actually Yoshi's Cookie on the NES.
Oh, really?
I've been playing that. Yeah, I've been really enjoying it. I just wanted something nice and simple, because something to pick up and play in between, having to tend to Lucas or whatever. Because a lot of the day is just sort of tending to him when I'm home, especially to give Chantel a bit of
a break,
bit of free time here and there. Like Chantel, she went out for lunch and stuff today, so
that's
got a bit of free time. But apart from that. Yeah. So just simple pick up and play stuff, and Yoshi's Cookie was on the agenda. And it's not like I would compare it to Tetris or anything like that, but it's certainly a lot of fun, addictive, trying to match up all the different, Mario enemies that come down and trying to link up the Yoshi eggs to try and get a high score on that.
Yeah.
So it's just been good. I would like to play multiplayer on that. I haven't actually done. I can't remember if we tried the multiplayer. I think we did when it first came out. But apart from that, I haven't played Nintendo 64 games online or maybe
Nah,
not even
neither.
Super Nintendo games. But I think that's actually a really overlooked feature of Nintendo Switch Online because people are just like, oh, I just want to buy the games outright. But there's actually a lot of features added on to these, I guess, games within the subscription. How you can play them online and even single player games like, say, Mario World or A Link to the Past. You can just like swap controllers like you would if you're sitting on the couch with one another back in the 90s, just enjoying it with each other. So I think that's actually
Yeah.
a pretty cool feature.
I remember our friends were test trialing it, like mutual podcasting friends and stuff. Were all test trialing it when it sort of come out, and they said they didn't have too much problems. But obviously, it's very very codependent on how well you can stream it and stuff.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where you don't have a lot of choice. If your internet connection is terrible, and it's going to ruin everybody's day, especially if you're the host. So yeah, while we haven't personally tried it, I know that there have been a few testimonies where it's like, oh, it's good, and then oh, it's bad, stuff like that.
Yeah. I wouldn't put a whole lot of faith in it, to be honest, but it is something I want to try. I really want to do Mario Kart 64, do battle mode.
Yeah,
That was cool. Like
the best battle mode.
Yeah, the last bastion of like a good battle mode within Mario Kart, except for DS, but
DS is okay.
Well, DS was the same, but you could do 8-player instead of just 4-player. That was the good thing about DS.
But they didn't have block fort.
Yes, they did. They had block fort on the DS version. Yes.
I don't remember. Okay, maybe it was Skyscraper that I'm annoyed about then.
Yeah, no, that didn't have Skyscraper. Skyscraper was in Mario Kart 7.
Skyscraper fucks. It's great.
Yeah, no. Yeah, no, Skyscraper definitely fucks, that's for sure.
Definitely fucks.
Just Mario Kart 64 battle mode in general,
it's really good.
Just slaps on every aspect.
Speaking of racing games, though, you personally just went and bought a whole like racing rig setup for your new PC.
I did. Yep.
Did you notice that there is a Steam racing sale?
No, I haven't.
It's a big racing sale. It's just celebrating things that go fast with discounts, demos, and new releases.
What games are we looking at here, mate?
You've got Forza Horizon 4 for $32. You've got Assetto Corsa for $5.
Mm-hmm.
Beam G Drive for $28. Need for Speed Heat Deluxe for $20.
Right.
Ride 4, $17.48. Hot Wheels Unleashed for $34. The Crew 2 for $15. It's all like 60+% off.
Is the Crew 2 on Steam? Or are you looking at Humble Bundle or something?
No, it's on Steam.
Okay, I thought it was on their Ubisoft thingamajig.
No. Oh well, it's fucking useless anyway. That is what it is.
Yeah, I know.
You've got Grid Legends is like 44. You've got sort of stuff going down the list. Need for Speed Hot Pursuit Remastered for $10. It's all like 60+% off. So I thought I just saw it just then. I was like, I better let you know because that man has yet to use his racing wheel, but there's a million car games he could be playing. So there you go.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, like, I bought my racing wheel, very excited. I got like depends who you ask. If you ask me, it was a very expensive racing wheel. If you ask like professional racing simulator players, they'll be like, look, that's an amateur wheel. But I bought one of the Logitech wheel, and I'm sort of yet to set it up because sort of like a lot of my time on my PC has just been downloading. The last time I actually used my PC was just setting Red Dead Redemption 2, downloading all night. And that was sort of the last time I touched it. But I'm very keen to get into using all this stuff. Got the racing wheel hopefully soon, maybe next month for my birthday, fingers crossed, if any family's listening. Might get some money towards a MetaQuest 2 for some VR stuff. And I'm keen, especially keen to get into Red Dead Redemption 2. I never played it. I wasn't that interested back when it came out. But now, like with the PC version, widescreen, graphics turned up to the max. Look, I'm ready. I'm ready to play it. I'm keen to. I know it's one of your favorite games, Bryce. So,
oh yeah,
I need to make you happy.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful game. Absolutely, absolutely phenomenal experience. That one.
Now, I need to do what you did to me. Like, you recommend, say, Red Dead Redemption 2. And I
Right.
recommended The Last of Us back in the day. You're like, nah, this game's no good. So do I get 4 hours into Red Dead? But nah, it's no good, bros. Don't like it.
No, okay. Look, there. I never said I never. Okay, I never dishonored its credits.
I am putting
Okay,
words in Bryce's mouth, by the way.
you 100%. Okay, and like everybody that we know that's like a PlayStation fan gets really shitty at me for this one, right? But like I'm not doubting that it has a good story. I'm not doubting all that because it did make me emotional in the first 15 minutes. Like, I'm like, oh shit, this is going places, but I'm not. I was not a fan of the cover gameplay and the way it was handled, and at higher difficulties, it basically meant if you didn't stealth, then you were dead. And just, I don't know, it didn't really, the moment to moment in the gameplay itself didn't really do anything for me, and I couldn't, I did not have a capacity. Look forward to the EP dropping, having a good one. Sorry, Wacko Jacko's been in the chat this entire time. I was going to address the fact that he did say that Hot Wheels Unleashed goes hard. But anyway.
It does. I got it on Xbox. It's really good.
Yeah. Anyway, it's... Yeah, look. It's just something that at the time I personally couldn't get into. Could I get into it one day? Maybe, but I'd only be approaching it for the story. I feel like Red Dead's approachable from several different angles because of the open worldness of it. So if you don't really get into the story, then you're in it for the open world and stuff like that. But yeah, it's really whatever you want to take out of it, sort of thing. I feel like it's pretty universal for like The Last of Us, where pretty much everybody's going to like the story, but yeah.
But yeah, no, I just said that to troll you, Bryce. It's all good. So no matter how popular a game is or how even critically acclaimed a game is, you don't have to like it. It's all good. You don't have to play through it. Don't feel any shame, mate.
Well, look, one day maybe. One day.
One day. So what you say? One day. What will it take?
Me wanting to actually play that kind of game and not get bored.
Oh, okay.
Because unfortunately, like, I'm not a big fan of like third-person stuff in general. It's very hard for me to sort of like.
Oh, really?
Really latch into, like third-person shooter perspective type things. They have to hit a really specific chord. Like it's something like Red Dead, it's fine because like there's 1,000,001 things to do, and like it's not narrow-minded. It's very go whatever you want and do whatever you need to do. And then like I guess like stuff like Fortnite is like trash food. I don't have to dedicate time to it to sort of get to a specific thing or what have you. I can kind of just play it and then turn it off when I don't want to play it anymore. But hold on, Jesus Christ.
Bryce is unleashing the devil upon
my
us
God.
all.
It needs to go. I've had this problem for weeks now. Jesus Christ. Been very unhealthy. But yeah, so it is sort of just a case of like if it's junk food and I can sort of just turn it off at any point, then it's fine. Or like if it's something where I'm already invested in it and like you're never sort of going to take me away from it, it's fine. Like in the case of Red Dead, I was already like a GTA kid anyway, so it doesn't feel that much difference, just set in a different time period. And like I could put up with stuff with that, but then the last game that I consider a major success that I absolutely loved, that was a third-person shooter that had like everything that I loved about it, was a game that actually hardly even lived, and that's really sad. It was Tom Clancy's fucking what was it? Fucking Ghost Warrior.
Okay.
It was
a while ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago, but it was real. Like the multiplayer was so good. It was a lot of fun. And unfortunately, it was just hardly played by anybody, and it's a shame because it was like a really really good third person game that I actually enjoyed because like it didn't feel too restrictive. You could sort of just run around and sort of mantle things and sort of just like shit on everything. And being the multiplayer person I was at the time, I was playing a lot of multiplayer and it was a lot of fun. I don't even like Gears of War. I'm a big avid Microsoft person when it comes to my gaming consoles and stuff, or at least I have been for the longest time. I don't even fucking like Gears of War. I'm not a big third person guy. Never have been.
Yeah, that's interesting because like I know you love like your first person shooters. I think I probably favor towards third person games, like just like the Uncharted games, Last of Us, Tomb Raider. Like, obviously there's plenty of them in the industry. It's probably one of the more prominent sort of genres.
It is.
Yeah. What about like Splatoon 2? Does that
stuff
fall
like
into
that,
the
stuff,
camp?
Nah, stuff like that's fine.
Yeah.
I think the perspective I sort of want to okay, just to put it in perspective, right? Jade's a big third person fan. Like that's like the only thing she plays. It's third person games because if she can't see a character, what's the fucking point, right? But that being said, I feel like the thing that really nicks me off about some third person games, and this is definitely one of those things from The Last of Us that really irks me, is like a not a like a camera behind the back perspective, but like a camera that's off center and your character is on the side of the screen so that you can sort of capture everything in front of your perspective. For some reason, it just irks me, and I don't like not having the character that's like directly in front of me because it feels like I'm not really doing jack shit at all.
Yep.
It's weird. Like I don't mind if like the centric view of like when you're aiming down sights to shoot something and you like move the character off to the side, that's fine because that makes sense. But like when your whole game is sort of shot like that and the character's on the side of the screen, it just fucking I don't know why. It just really bugs me. I just feel like it takes me out a bit. It's really I don't know. It's one of those really weird gaming nitpicks that like just I can't tell you why. I hate it.
Yeah, no, it sounds strange because it's kind of like that cinematic sort of view that I guess PlayStation put in a lot of their games. Like, because God of War, you liked God of War, didn't you? Because that did a lot of that.
Yeah, it did. But like the thing is I have a lot of gripes with God of War for other things more than I do.
Right.
More than I do the camera view and stuff like that. And I think like my main gripe with God of War was that and it really got to me because there's a lot of people that like, oh, there's a lot of repeating bosses in X video game, but nobody ever held that. Nobody ever held that standard to God of War for whatever reason. When you had to fight the same ice troll 3 times, and like you had to fight Boulder 3 times, and like I like that. That's the kind of stuff that irked me with God of War because I have like a historical connection with Kratos. I can deal with it if I like the character enough. And I was good with the whole story. The story was pretty freaking good. I got along with it just fine. But like in terms of an actual experience, like the camera didn't bother me so much about God of War, but I have a lot of criticisms about how much it makes me repeat stuff and how much people sort of looked over it because it was a decent narrative. I don't really know. Yeah. It's getting into controversial. I know that like 90% of like the people that are PlayStation fans that listen to our podcast, that especially that we're mutuals with, are like, "Oh, fuck off, Bryce." I'm like, yeah, I know.
Look, it doesn't matter what people think, Bryce. Just tell them how you feel and just leave it at that. It's not such a. It doesn't have to be so controversial, Bryce.
I feel like it's going to be black and white in most cases. It's like when we had that discussion back on when I started playing Horizon Zero Dawn and like comparing it to Breath of the Wild. When I was kind of like, I like Horizon Zero Dawn. I like Breath of the Wild, and now that I've played Horizon Zero Dawn, I think it was like 3 or 4 years later, because I never played it when Breath of the Wild was around because I had Breath of the Wild and I didn't really need another big open world game. When I played it, I'm like, yeah, I can see what it does better, and I also can see what it does worse. I'm like, I don't really have dejections about either. It's just like the same thing with Breath of the Wild, like I can see the flaws in that as well. I can also see its positives, and I think overall it's just like Breath of the Wild overall was sort of like the right step for Zelda. But then like I'll talk to people who are like Horizon Zero Dawn fans, and they'll look back on Breath of the Wild, they're just like, piece of shit game. I'm like, it's not. Okay, go off.
Yeah, well, we all know now why Bryce likes Nintendo games, because they keep the goddamn character in the middle of the screen. Goodness gracious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just like listen. I get being cinematic and stuff like that, but I feel like you don't have to push the character over to the left side of the screen to be cinematic. It's really not that hard. It's not. You can build ambience and like themes. Like even that like opening shot of like walking out in Breath of the Wild. Like I'm moving back to this. Like where you first walk out the cave and then it like takes that nice panoramic view of the whole land. It's just like. You didn't have to take. They didn't even in that moment. They didn't take Link out of the center of the shot because that is the focal point. The character is the story, which is exactly this is the same thing with those games. It's like the character is the story, but you push them over to the left side of the screen so you can look at how many fucking leaves that tree has. It's like cool. I don't know. I don't know where I'm going with that. It's one of those gaming things that irks the fuck out of me, and it's like something that PlayStation pretty much exclusively does. I don't know what it is.
Mm. Oh, it's just because they're going for the more like cinematic, big blockbuster sort of feel to their games, where I guess a lot of others aren't.
I think the way that I want to sort of like address it is that they try to make things like movies, and that's not inherently a bad thing. It's just not something that I'm really into. Like they really want to make video games movie experiences, and I don't think it has to be that complicated to be like a video game narrative. Doesn't have to be like we're forcing your character to walk slow right now so you can appreciate things, and like we're making sure that you can see everything in this camera view. It's like okay, best example of a game that I have not played, right? But I know the start of well enough because I've seen it. But it's like an Elden Ring, right? Okay. You walk out, you fight a monster. Whether you win or lose, it doesn't really matter because it all ends up the same way. You're not supposed to win the fight, but once you move out into the world, it doesn't pull you away from it or anything. You just see this big giant fucking tree with golden leaves, and you're taken in by the atmosphere without being taken out of it. Whereas PlayStation does that a lot and wants you to sit there and admire things a lot at its pace, not your own. And that's where I'm.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fair enough. I do appreciate how especially with Breath of the Wild now we're seeing with Elden Ring, we are seeing it sort of these games just take I guess a page out of just going into the world and just soaking it in. You don't need like these big cutscenes to make it work, which I appreciate. You're just exploring yourself. Yeah. Well, I can't think of anything. I can't think of any sort of things in video games that irk me in particular. I don't know if I have like a particular scene or just like first person which I don't like. I think just thinking about like first person, it annoys me how like you do like character customization for like a first person character and you can't see it.
Yeah.
And like for like in Halo, like you put all this you got all this armor and stuff in like, oh yeah, and that's like the main draw of progressing in the game with battle passes and all that, and only other people can see like your hot pink suit or whatever you're wearing. You can't even see it.
Yeah, which I get that, but I think people overthink cosmetics in first person. As long as it's like, you don't have to be. It's like with Warzone. I think Warzone is like the biggest thing for me because that game is primarily first person, right? In fact, I think it's only first person. And they had like all these collaboration events and stuff like that with like Attack on Titan and all that stuff. And it's like cool and everything, sure. But the only time you actually get to view your character with like that Attack on Titan uniform on is when they do like a finishing move or whatever. You never see it otherwise. And like the amount of times you ever see your character do a finishing move is like depending on, whether you're game enough to walk up to somebody and execute a finishing move without people shooting you in the back. But But then like Apex as well. Actually, that's something we probably should talk about today. I don't know if you heard that news, but anyway, but like Apex is the same. Like the characters have skins and stuff like that, but you'll only ever see them when you're executing people. You never see them otherwise.
Right.
It's I'd like to say it's a clout thing, but it's not a clout thing. It's kind of just like I feel comfortable in this aesthetic. It's kind of weird like that. I don't know. As somebody that's played plenty of games that have cosmetics, it's just, I don't know. It's fun to collect cosmetics and show them off. It's not even so much about staring at your own character for so long.
Yeah, trust me, man. I love collecting cosmetics and like dressing characters up and looking cool, looking cute, or whatever the game calls for. But yeah, it's just a little bit ironic. I don't know if it's something we'd actually hate, but yeah.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. All right, Ross, let's move into some news and let's get this Saudi Arabia discussion out of the way. Mm-hmm. So I'll tell you what, this week, Bryce, I'm not even going to play the news button, all right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's just what it is. I can't go from that news theme into this.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough, yeah.
So this comes from Bloomberg, and the title is Saudi Arabia's PIF adds game push with 5% Nintendo stake. And before I even read this, well, what was your first impression when you heard the news pop up onto your Twitter?
I know they're a public traded company, and I know that they can't exactly stop people from buying stocks. However, I feel like Nintendo having its name attached to something like that is just inherently gross. I know they can't help it, but like it, and I mean they'll Saudi Arabia probably do it to other countries and stuff as well. It's not exactly going to be companies rather. It's not going to be exclusive to Nintendo forever. Like they're going to be like, let's put a stake in PlayStation or Sony, and then like, oh, let's put a stake. Let's put some stakes in like Epic Games, and they're going to do that.
Yeah, well, they got stakes in plenty of other companies.
Exactly.
And
yeah.
SNK, they own 96%.
Really?
Yeah. So every time you buy one of their games now, guess where your money's going?
That's terrible.
Yeah. So
guess I can't buy SNK ever again. Damn.
Yeah. So I'll read the article from Bloomberg and then we'll dig into it a little bit more. So the article reads, Saudi Arabia's public investment fund took a 5.00 stake in Nintendo Co., its third investment in the Japanese games company as the industry consolidates. The PIF, as the $500 billion fund is known, said the Nintendo purchase was made for investment purposes, according to a filing with Japanese Finance Ministry. That is the same reason it has given the previous investments. And the holding is set to make the Saudi fund Nintendo's fifth largest shareholder, according to data compiled by Bloomberg. The PIF has been building stakes in video game makers and esport firms over the last 2 years, turning to the Japanese market, just as a weaker yen has made investments more affordable. The Saudi fund disclosed stakes of more than 5% in 2 Japan-listed firms this year. Capcom Co., the maker of Street Fighter and Resident Evil series, and the online games provider Nexon Co. Quote, Saudi Arabia has been beefing up efforts to create its own content industry. This series of investments in Japanese game companies is likely a way for them to learn from Japan, end quote. A Japan spokesperson told the company learned about the Saudi investment from news reports and would not comment on individual shareholders. So that's pretty much the end of the article there. And like you said, Bryce, they're a publicly shared company. But when I first saw this, because I've been sort of following a lot of what the Saudis have been doing with investing in multiple game companies, it was a big shock when it came out with Capcom. That was a shame. But ultimately, how many Capcom games do I buy each year, each 2 years? Not too many. I didn't pick up Resident Evil. I picked up Monster Hunter at the start of last year, but really not too much. And when it comes to, say, SNK, I don't buy them games either. I think they're pretty cool. I would like to try them, but they're pretty easy to avoid for the most part. Like, all right, you're owned by, Saudi Arabia. And
Before you do go on, I would like
Yes.
to add though, like if you're a person that's been like a fan of like X company and you're investing in if you're investing in games, like it's like I'm not gonna say don't I'm not gonna say like you should stop. Do you know what I mean? Like I think the best thing you can do is limit, because they've bought based on their data and what they've collected. So like what needs to happen more or less is, because it's never going to end. What you need to do is you need to drive sales down. So you need to make more considerable purchases on like how much money you're investing in a company per capita. So like when in terms of Capcom, for example, like I bought I bought a copy of Monster Hunter Rise. All right, I bought the copy of Monster Hunter Rise on sale, so it was like 60% off. And that'll probably be the only Capcom thing I buy for the next 3 years. Do you know what I mean? Like, because you will never stop a giant. It doesn't work that way. Yeah, you shouldn't have to forsake something you love. But do consider that if you reconsider some purchases that you probably don't need, it'll drive the value down, and then they'll be forced to resell before that bombs, and then they won't have the control anymore. If that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, it's pretty hard because why it concerns me is just like, Nintendo's obviously a company and makes products that I really do enjoy. That's why we do this podcast, because we enjoy talking about them. We love playing them, and inherently we spend a lot of money on them, just especially when they have a good year with plenty of games and products coming out. And even though this is just like a little bit, it's still pretty significant, but it's not a 10% or 20, 30, etc. percent of the company. But it just puts that bit of a tarnish, being like, your money's going towards, like some pretty backwards ideas.
Oh yeah,
And like,
absolutely.
Obviously no hard feelings to anyone who lives in Saudi Arabia or the Saudi people. This is literally their government who enforces, enforces rules which, put women down, human rights, literally killed a journalist doing his job. Like there's multiple things like which go on in this country. And a lot of this fund is set up so they can basically remove all of that history from their name and just be known like, oh, look, they're doing like stuff in video games now. And I think I put up a tweet on Twitter, and this was how I felt at first. And this was naive on my behalf, just sort of speaking from my emotions when it first happened. I just said, Nintendo, you make some of my favorite games that bring me a lot of joy. That's why I truly hate that you're putting your customers in a position where they'll be supporting awful views on human and women's rights. And that was before I'm like, oh well, it's a publicly traded company, it's not their decision. But ultimately, that's how I feel. We're put in a position where, like, are we going to enjoy the latest Mario game? And if we do, it's putting money in the pockets of already billionaires. But like, I don't want any of my money going towards that. I don't want it to be funding any sort of shutdown of women's protests, just trying to get basic rights in that country. And when I put that up, I got a message from an actual Saudi person, just like, basically saying like, look, there's lots of bullshit in every country. I'm like, yes, I get that. But like, you can imagine, even us as Australians, could you imagine if the Australian government invested in Nintendo and bought 5% of them? It'd be weird. It's like, what the hell? And like the American government, it'll be just as weird. Any government, it's like, it's just it's a strange sort of position to be in, and it's something they're setting up just to sort of patch up a lot of the wrongdoings that they've done over the last God knows how many years.
I just want to like the biggest clarification for me for this thing is that I've had a similar situation recently, where I said, isn't it terrible what like I was playing like a game of League, and I was like, you know what,
Yeah.
I'll see what happens if I say something. All right. I said, isn't it terrible? Isn't it terrible what Putin's doing to his own people? And to the Ukrainian people at the moment, because obviously we're locking people up and putting them in jail and like silencing them and all that stuff. And then somebody chimed in, they're just like, it wouldn't be happening if it weren't for the US. And I'm like, oh, okay, here we go. I'm like, here's the thing, right? It's not it's not woke. It's not woke, and it's not like gigabrain to acknowledge that maybe that there's another problem in the loop, right? Like, yeah, obviously Russia are intimidated by like the American advance and how it's going to affect them, and that's probably why they've done this. Sure, them sort of like moving that way, yeah. It's probably scary. Well, I'm not sure if the word is scary to them, but it's probably like, lesser control for Russia. Russia wants to remain the superpower that they are, and obviously, like them advancing a little bit more is a little bit threatening, and that's what happens. And unfortunately, like maybe there is like some sort of bruising in the background from the US where they're just like, they're like, maybe if we push his buttons a bit, he'll like, and then that's how this has started. It could have been. But that does not, I don't get where people get off thinking that something like that excuses like Putin for doing bad things, right? And it's the same thing with like this Saudi Arabia stuff. It's just like, when that person messaged you and they were like, oh, there's heaps of bad things happening over the world. Yeah, that's right. That's absolutely correct. But that doesn't mean that we can't hold individuals accountable. It's just like, they're like, if they turn around and said, yeah, well, Australia's done bad stuff too. I'm like, oh, fuck yeah. I talk about how much bad shit Australia is doing all the time. It's just in this particular moment, I'm talking about Saudi Arabia. So is that really a problem? Do you know what I mean? Like, you can have commentary. It's not, it's not woke as hell to realize that maybe something else has led to this conclusion. Sure, that could be the possible case, but what Saudi Arabia do to women is terrible. What Russia is doing to Ukraine and its own citizens is terrible. Could it have been caused by like some sort of chain reaction effect that's happened in another country? Yeah, probably. But at the same time, that doesn't make them less accountable for their actions. Do you know what I mean? And that's what's irritating about that situation, I think, right? When they messaged you.
Yeah. And they popped up so quick too. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Quick to defend.
I'm like, am I about to get cancelled? Because usually if I put something up on Twitter and I really want someone to see it, they will not see it. So, so we had a bit of a conversation, and it was pretty respectful considering it's like someone on Twitter without a display picture and literally no name. So it was like, pretty respectful. And like I did say to him, like, this is nothing against you as a person, but like, just if I took my wife to your country and we had to be in the motel room or whatever, but all right, we've got to make sure you're covered up. I've got to be with you. When you're driving, I've got to make sure I'm there because they can drive now. That's been around for about 3 years now. So, so that is a positive step forward. But there's lots of aspects where I'm like, I would not feel comfortable bringing my wife here, and let alone what she would feel. And I feel like you probably ask a lot of people there. Everyone thinks it's normal. The men will probably agree with it, and the women have grown up with it their whole lives. And they will just say, well, I prefer to wear it because they're scared. If they take it off, they feel naked. They feel like they're going to, get told off pretty much. It's like if I went into the pub with no pants on, they'd be like, get out of here. What are you doing, bro?
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. I thought I was cosplaying as Humphrey Bear. I'm sorry. I'm a big fan of the bear.
Oh God. Yeah.
Because I was listening to a show a little while ago, but there was this Saudi guy on there, and he was saying how when he moved to a Western country, how he had to really change his mindset, just get that bigotry and that sort of sexism out of his brain because he's just grown up with it. And it's not because they're bad people. It's just what you grow up in.
What they've, yeah.
And I can tell you right now, if you or I grew up there, it would be no different. We would probably think the same because it's just how you grow up and all that. But it's
We've all evolved from the same. We've all evolved from the same chain, my friend, and we all have our habituals that we pull from our own cultures. Do you know what I mean? Like that's what it is. We as Australians, there's a lot of alcoholism in this country, and we swear a lot, and that's something that is very much a constant. That is very much a constant to this day, and it's not a positive thing. It's like largely a negative thing, unless like I don't know, like swearing can be used in endearment, sure, and we use it in endearment a lot, yes, but is it technically polite? Not to people outside of those norms that don't understand that, and we should probably sort of be a little bit more conscious if we're talking to people that don't get that or what have you, right? But in saying that, like it's a completely different conversation when you're talking about human rights, and the ability to even do the most basic of things just as a human being, like like you said, having the ability to drive cars, yeah, that's great and stuff like that. But why should they feel terrible for not having a hijab on, or and like getting punished for things like that? Like that's where like I guess it hurts, is like we don't, especially as someone like myself who was primarily brought up by women, it's like looking at that and then just being like, I'm spending money on Nintendo and knowing some of that money's going to Saudi, and I'm like, ooh, yeah.
I mean, it's just sort of the era we live in now. For years and years, we wanted video games to be respected, and now we're at the point where they are respected, and there's a lot of money involved. So, what does money attract? It attracts investors. And investors who are looking for money are usually from shadier sort of ways of living, and whether that is Tencent or whether that is even Microsoft, or in this case, the country or Saudi Arabia. There's sort of a lot to be there, and I think with where we are, I think a lot of us have a limit to where we want our money to go, who we want to support, but we can never have a clean track record. If I was to say I'm not buying Nintendo games because 5% of the company is owned by Saudi Arabia, I'd be a hypocrite. Just like, look at all the devices around me. A lot are made in China, probably almost slave labor. Like, look at your iPhone, for example. I'm sure that wasn't made in the best conditions.
No.
Like there's a lot of aspects just in your everyday purchasing decisions that you can never have a clean track record. So,
you've never had no, you can't. It's impossible. Literally impossible.
Yeah, unless literally you just
you would have to live off the grid, and you would have to be making it like everything yourself. Do you know what I mean? Like there's no such thing as like
make your own iPhone.
Yeah, well, that's right. There's no such thing as like completely ethical living. There's no such thing. Like everything's been made. It's somewhere down the line, something has gone to make a product. Like even if something's like, oh, we're 100% ethical, we source like this from this or whatever. But then you get down to like, oh, we've got screws in our product. It's just like, to make those screws, we have child miners in like Vietnam somewhere in deep mines working 12 hours a day to farm the iron that's used to make the screws. Down the line somewhere, there is always going to be something bad. And that's what I meant earlier about limiting your spending in a particular place rather than abolishing it completely, because one, it's unfair to the consumer to sort of just give something up that they cherish and love and makes them feel happy, and that there's like a limit there. But then at the same time, you don't want to over support that endeavor, and the safest bet you can do to make sure that it gets taken out of there ASAP is to limit how much money that they're getting from said thing and make their investment drop, because then they'll just sell it back to the market and then it's no longer there. Same could be said about Nintendo. Like, if we don't want that 5% of the market to be there, unfortunately, the only thing we can do is prove that it was not a worthy enough investment for the Saudi government to have, and they'll have to sell it back. Like, that's all that can be done, because you're not going to get people to stop buying Nintendo. It doesn't work that way, And it doesn't matter how much like you might want to boycott it or whatever. That doesn't mean that like the next person isn't going to. And especially like in this day and age where like scalping is a huge deal and reselling is a huge deal. If somebody else doesn't buy it, another person is just going to buy it to scalp it and resell it. So either way, they're getting their money. Everybody's got to do a conscious effort to just not spend as much on that particular product and make it look like an unworthy investment. Yeah, that's the only way to go about it.
Yeah. So it's interesting when you bring up this topic because, we're a Nintendo podcast, so this is relevant to the company that we cover. But when you look into like the games industry, it's like it's a broad sort of problem that is seeping into the games industry. And then it's like a massive sort of problem beyond that, just entertainment in general. They're literally like hosting concerts with like big celebrities and that to sort of, sort of patch over what's happened. And it just sort of goes on from there. They're putting, like they've got pretty much unlimited money that they're putting into these things. So this would be by far the last thing we see from the Saudi government as far as this goes. We'll keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just something to keep in mind. I feel like it's just something we had to bring up on the show because we can't cover Nintendo every week and be like, yeah, now Saudi Arabia bought 5%. Just ignore it. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. No, because it does matter. And it's like Delfino's been watching and has said that like it sounds like being Amish is the cleanest way to ethically live. Which I mean, even then, is it like that down the line? There's like some sort of something that you're never going to escape it. It's not. You can't do it. Living like even if you're living completely off the grid, there's something somewhere where you're not going to be able to help it. It's not like you're like you're a forge master that's going to make a million screws that you need for your fence posts or what have you. I'm not really going to repeat basically the same example I said before.
Yeah.
But it is one of those things. You just can't you can't 100% be ethical. All you can really do is see where like a lot of your major investments go and see how you can limit that so that it can sort of drop the importance and they resell the product. Because then basically what they're doing is they're buying at a high, they're selling at a low just to get rid of it because it's dropping and it's not got no signs of like picking back up. And then once it's dropped, they sell. And then the only choice to have if they want that product again is to have to buy high again. In which case that just means that the country of the Saudi Arabians will lose, the Saudi Arabian government will lose more money in a repurchase, or they just won't do it because of like past bad experiences. So yeah, it's really strange. And like I know that sounds like a really roundabout way to say like to be like, you're justifying buying it. And I'm like, I'm not really. I'm like, I understand that like if I do buy anything now that it is directly supported, well, not directly, but in some way supporting Saudi Arabia, and I don't want it to be that way. But basically I'll just spend less on Nintendo until it eventually gets sold back out, because I know that I'm never going to be able to stop, because it's a publicly traded company. They can't help if a government wants to invest in Nintendo. It's not like Nintendo went there and shook the hand of like the Saudi Arabian president or whatever. It's like, here you go, mate, here's some shares. It doesn't work that way. It's public traded. They couldn't stop it. They probably don't really want their stuff there either, but because it's law, that's how it is. Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully, I do hope that it is really their country stepping forward, being like, they want to move forward. They are trying to change sort of the regulations that are put against women in their country. They do want to sort of have a more of a prominent step in entertainment and be a bigger sort of player in the world instead of just that sort of oil sort of economy. But it seems like, it seems like a little bit too much has happened just to sort of brush under the rug. But of course, if I don't know if anyone listens to this show who is Saudi, but I would love to talk with someone with a bit more insight into the country itself, and especially from a gaming perspective, and what you guys think. Because there is a Twitter account, Nintendo for like Saudi Arabia, and Like there is a big sort of, a video game audience there. So I think a lot of them were happy about it, but don't know. It's kind of hard to tell with Google Translate on Twitter. Who knows? Might be all the spastics rocking up on Twitter. That's what usually happens.
Yeah, it's Twitter.
Yeah, it sure is. So yeah, we'll keep an eye on this and see how it goes. But until then, look, I guess like your money from 5% in Nintendo shares going to Saudi Arabia with like the billions of dollars they get from oil. Don't know. It's probably not going to fund too many anti-women campaigns or killing too many journalists or doing whatever they feel like doing. All right, moving on. Splatoon 2 will only support cloud saves for single player, Bryce. So this is a step forward for Splatoon 3. Splatoon 2, no cloud saves or anything. I actually lost my cloud save when I moved switches for Splatoon 2, which was frustrating. But by the looks of it, we're not getting any cloud support for the actual multiplayer itself. And it'll be interesting to see how this works when we actually get the game, whether it just uploads to a server and we can bring it down without the cloud save. But I think Splatoon 3, the most important thing for this game is just bring Splatoon 2 to like a bit more modern features. Like, Salmon Run, don't have it locked behind like a certain time each day. Like maybe voice chat and matchmaking, make it better, just all that type of stuff. So this is another one of those features I hope is just easily accessible, can jump between switches like you would expect on any other console. But I'm looking forward to Splatoon 3. I know you're not into third-person games, so you're like, oh, no, I'm not going to play this.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Little shithead.
Yeah, I am a shithead. So there's that. Fall Guys has come to Switch. Did you play much Fall Guys on PC or PlayStation?
PlayStation, I played a little bit. Not heaps. A little bit, though. Is it free on Switch?
Yeah. It's coming free to play. Comes out June 21st. And
Nice.
It's coming to everything. It's coming to everything, which is going to be a lot of fun. So it's finally coming to Switch. It's going to be a great sort of handheld game to play while you're watching TV, maybe play with some friends. So I'll be definitely getting back into it. I didn't play a whole lot. I got it through PlayStation Plus, and a few of my friends like just played the ever-living crap out of it. I know Seamus was playing it a lot, but I didn't really play it that much. And but I feel like on Switch, it's a sort of a no-brainer just to turn on and play through. But now that it's going free to play, I dare say they're going to have a lot of emphasis on battle passes, costumes, all of that, which is, I don't know, fits the theme pretty well for this game. Because in the base game, we actually pay for it. You're always unlocking costumes and a lot of collaborations between different companies, especially when it was big, when it first came out. So, yeah, definitely keen to play it with a few guys in the House of Mario Discord when it comes out. But we've still got a little bit yet, a bit over a month. Anything to say on that?
Don't. Fall Guys is Fall Guys, man. I'm sure it'll be great.
Yeah. Pokemon Home, Diamond and Pearl and Pokemon Legends Arceus is now compatible with Pokemon Home, which is great.
Finally.
Finally. It's been a long time. And we got access to putting these Pokemon into our Pokemon Home and moving them around, which now I can finally put my shiny Porygon, which I got from Pokemon Go Community Days, into Pokemon Legends Arceus, so I don't have to track down a shiny Porygon in the distortion zones. That would have been a real pain in the ass, but I was just waiting for this. But it's like May. This like Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl came out in November last year. It really took their time. And it was funny because like Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, they run on Unity, so they're like a different engine. So that is why I guess it took so long for those games to be compatible. But just the fact that they're made by the same developers, like Pokemon Home and Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl. So, oh no, they could have thought about that when they were making the game, potentially.
Yeah, obviously not.
Oh well, that's there. I haven't put any Pokemon into it yet. I just sort of booted it up and I'm like, all right, I believe it now. It's here. So yeah, at the start of the show, you said there's some Apex Legends news or something.
Yes, the EA thing. I don't know if you saw that.
That they're looking to be acquired. Is that what you're?
Yeah, they're looking to be acquired, which is really interesting actually, because I mean, we talk a lot about.
See, I brought that up, but I got rid of it because I didn't think you would want to talk about EA. But here you are bringing it up. So
Yeah, no, I think it's interesting because,
all right.
I mean, look what's just happened with Activision Blizzard. It's just been bought by Microsoft.
Yeah.
So EA is now looking to be acquired, but I feel like Microsoft's holding off pulling the trigger, despite the fact having EA Play library under the Game Pass banner, because they're still trying to like finalize Activision.
Yeah, like it's crazy that all these companies are, especially like Ubisoft as well. They're looking for buyers now,
Yeah.
and it's just it's an interesting time to be a gamer. So I put up an article from GamesIndustry.biz, and EA reportedly had acquisition talks with NBC, Universal, Amazon, Apple, and Disney. The article reads, EA CEO Andrew Wilson reportedly had negotiations with NBC boss Brian Roberts to merge the two companies, but the deal wasn't concluded. That's according to news outlet Puck, which reported that EA had entered M&A talks with Amazon, Apple, and Disney in recent years. The timeline wasn't specified except for Disney, with discussions allegedly held as recently as March. The talks with NBC Universal ultimately fell through within the last month due to disagreements over price and structure. Puck added, having talked with 4 sources close to the matter. The negotiations lasted several weeks, and the deal would have seen NBC Universal take majority control of the merged company, which would have been headed by Wilson. When asked for comment, EA spokesperson John Reisberg told Puck that the firm doesn't comment on rumor and speculation relating to M&A. Amazon, Apple, and Disney also declined to comment. I wonder why. Sources said that EA had been persistent in pursuing a sale in recent years, and especially since Microsoft's acquisition of Activision Blizzard. Just could you imagine any of these companies, maybe NBC, it's just like, hey, look, that's whatever kind of, but Amazon, Apple, or Disney with EA's roster in their back catalog and what they could potentially do with it. Like Amazon.
I reckon Amazon could.
Yeah, so Amazon probably be a likely one. Apple would be a bit weird because like they're a hardware company and obviously a software company, but you would think that them buying a software maker would really want to be pushing their own products, and it doesn't really fit the iPhone or the Mac or iPad unless they are looking to make their own box, own streaming service for games. That might be down the track, who knows. And Disney, they recently got rid of their games division with making all their stuff, so that kind of seems like a weird sort of thing for them wanting to do. Especially since EA are the ones who botched the Star Wars games, which they gave the rights to. So that's a weird one for Disney. But Apple, Amazon, or NBC, I got no idea what NBC would do with them. Just merge together, so they've got a games vertical as well, because that's an important sort of thing in the games industry these days. But what are you thinking when you heard this news?
I have a feeling they're panicking.
Yeah, well, it seems like that, because if they were happy, like Ubisoft, they are panicking because they sort of like fought off a merger like a few years ago now, but now it's looking like they're looking for a hit with all their sort of free-to-play games, just putting them out just one by one, just failing. You can see why they're looking for a buyer. But EA, I don't know, they're going.
They lost FIFA.
I mean, they didn't lose it; they got rid of it. And we'll see how their game goes when they release it later this year without the FIFA name.
It won't do the same. That's the problem.
Yeah,
no matter what, it's gonna cop a loss. It's gonna cop a loss. There's no ifs and or buts about it. They'll cop a loss. So unfortunately, like that loss, that they can't be real certain how like actually grandiose that loss is going to be, but regardless of that, it's still going to be a loss. And if their other games are not succeeding, which their library hasn't been succeeding for a long time now, it's been FIFA pretty much carrying all the hard work. I don't think they have any confidence now that they've lost the FIFA name.
Yeah, well, I guess just with the amount of money they're saving, so $200 million a year for the FIFA name, just the 4 letters on the box. And I feel like if they release it right now, so they're renaming it to EA Sports Football Club or EA Sports FC. So I think a lot of people, if someone went into a shop right now and saw EA Sports FC, they'd be like, is this FIFA? Where's FIFA?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But I think by the time this game rolls around, they're going to market this game to just fucking to the ends of the earth. And people will probably know by the time that FIFA, its name has changed to this brand new game. And I think even more to the point, now that PES has become like a free-to-play download-only game, there's no other football game at the shops or on the PlayStation Store, Xbox Store, Origin on PC. So they don't really have any competition either. So even if it's like, oh, there's no FIFA, oh, well, I'll get this other football game. And look, majority of people probably know, like, are locked into it with the Ultimate Team and know that it's made by EA and know that the name's changed. So I definitely think that the losses won't be that bad, but of course we'll find out. EA seem to be pretty confident, but
yeah. I think the biggest thing really is like, despite the fact they're saving money off the FIFA name, I hate to say it, but the FIFA name would be dragging in a lot of customers as it is. So if FIFA decide to take their business elsewhere and give it to somebody else, you know, here's FIFA, people are just going to buy another product. And I'm like,
just what do you think of when you think FIFA though? Because I don't think of the football organization. I think of the game.
Yeah, and that's the problem, man.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, but that's the problem.
But I feel like EA are doing more work for the FIFA name than the organization are doing.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I don't think it does. It's like, you think about every other EA sports game, it's got something tied to it. Madden, Tiger Woods, etc., etc. Do you know what I mean? Every other sports-related title EA's got under their belt, it's got something. And the thing is that FIFA has been carrying the name for such a long time now, carrying the brand for such a long time now, because EA is fucking up on every other front. And I feel like brand recognition and name has such a huge part to play in all those microtransactions that come about it, right? So if they lose the FIFA name, what else do they lose? They lose brand recognition, right? People are going to look at EA Sports FC. People who are big FIFA fans and like to play FIFA every year, they're probably going to be right into that shit. But like, you know, with there being a free-to-play option on the market, right, that people could sort of go to, whatever, and if the brand recognition isn't there anymore, the clout's not there. Like, it's like if you were playing Call of Duty, man, like, and you were known as a Call of Duty player, right? And they stopped calling it Call of Duty. They started calling it like Big Warfront Battlemen. It wouldn't be the same anymore. It wouldn't be the same anymore if like all the developers just decided to jump ship and make their own. And this is the problem, because it's happened with plenty of other things in the past, right? It's like when Playtonic was formed, right? They're doing okay now, but Ukulele as a game, as good as it was mechanically and felt like Banjo-Kazooie, it never got the same amount of clout. No way. No way. And it was considered kind of like the first game was considered not a very good game because it had a lot of performance issues and they tried to be way too overly ambitious. So Ukulele never really copped the similar spotlight that Banjo would have in terms of like a demographic. But then let's think of like some other stuff sort of going back. Was it like sort of, you'll hear it all I can't really think of any specifics right now, but you hear all the time about like developers that have left a studio. Actually, no, a really big one is 343. Huge one. Halo has never been the same since Bungie's been taken off the roster, and nobody's ever considered it the same game ever since they've been taken off the roster to do those games.
That's like the opposite sort of end of the scale, though. You got the same brand name, you just got a different team.
But I know. But
yeah,
the thing is that like after that, like Bungie went to Destiny, right? Okay. What you need to know in this? No, hang on. What you need to.
I'm hanging on, Bryce. Don't you worry. I'm fucking hanging on.
What you need to understand in this is that people attach the name Bungie to Halo, right?
Yes.
So people look at 343 and they go, ew, a fucking 343 game. I don't want to play that, right?
They have well established that is the case. With their
Exactly right.
games, yes.
And then it's the same thing with like Activision and the problems that Activision had with fucking Bungie and like freeing Destiny and all that shit like that as well. Destiny's never been the same. It's never been the same. They've always had problems with Destiny since then. They tried to put it up for free to play. They're still charging for expansions. It's probably in a better place than it's ever been, but it's never been the same since it's left Activision because they don't have the same amount of promotion. They don't have the same amount of money behind it anymore. Like the brand recognition has gone from Activision. It's not an Activision game anymore. It's just a sole Bungie game. But a lot of that advertising money's gone now. A lot of that brand recognition is gone. And it's the same thing with like FIFA is like at the end of the day, what sounds more fucking appealing to a sports fan? FIFA or Electronic Arts Football Club?
Yeah, there's no doubt for that name is not fantastic. It does not have a ring to it. It's not easy to say just off the bat. There's too many syllables. Yeah, like there's a lot to it. But I probably wouldn't call it that. But just with your point with Call of Duty, like definitely, if you renamed Call of Duty being like
Battle War Guy, man.
Yeah, just if you called it that, it's like, what the hell is this? People probably forget about it and go into the win. But there's so much more sort of, I guess, competition when it comes to first-person shooters.
No, fuck no, not on the same level. No. I have to disagree.
Are you saying there's just as many soccer games as there are first-person shooters?
No. I'm saying that in terms of AAA titles, there definitely is not. It's always been Battlefield or Call of Duty for AAA titles, and it was the same thing for a while with the soccer gib between PES and FIFA, even though FIFA always sort of took the lead. But it was the same situation if Call of Duty were FIFA and PES were Battlefield. Call of Duty appealed to way wider of an audience because it was like clip-worthy shit. Do you know what I mean? And it had like that brand recognition. Everybody wanted to hit that fucking nice no-scope on Call of Duty. Nobody fucking really wanted to do that in Battlefield because Battlefield was the game that the old folks played because it was more strategic and it had bigger maps and you could fly planes and it was more like an actual war.
That's
right?
That's the cultured video game. First-person shooter.
That's right. That's what it was. It was like Battlefield 2, man. Battlefield 2 is the same way. It's like nobody fucking played Call of Duty 3 because like Battlefield 2 was the shit and like anybody could play it. It was OEM free. But like that's the thing is like that was that brand recognition. It was like Call of Duty. It's like somebody holds up a copy of Battlefield and a copy of Call of Duty. It's like, oh, I hear my friends talk about Call of Duty all the time. It's like, you know, you hold up a copy of FIFA and a copy of PES. It's like, oh, my friends talk about FIFA all the time. And then next year it's EA Sports FC. And they're like, oh, I hear my friends talk about EA Sports FC all the time.
No, wait a minute. No, they don't. Oh.
No, they don't. What the fuck are you on about? And like, that's the thing. It's like, yeah, there's a shit ton of first-person shooters, but not at the level that Call of Duty and Battlefield were having their competition. No way. And it's been like that for a very long time. Like, you're right. There is a lot more first-person shooters. But like when you're talking like Halo and stuff like that, that was Xbox exclusive. But like Call of Duty and Battlefield were the only multi-plat games that had that brand recognition, much like FIFA and PES had to go head-to-head for a while, but FIFA had the name.
Yeah, it had the name, but it also had the clubs and all of the other rights that come along with it. And EA Sports Football Club will still have all of that plus more.
Maybe.
Well, it does. It's confirmed. And like for example, under the FIFA name, they couldn't do brand deals with Nike because it was all Adidas because of their sort of, I guess, regulations with having the FIFA name. So they're able to do things a bit more on their own terms, and they do have all those brands. And
but then you also have to worry if like people actually give a shit about having a Nike sponsorship. Like, are people really going to give a shit about what shoes their soccer players are wearing? Do they really give a fuck?
It sounds funny to me because I don't, but I'll tell you right now, FIFA players will. If they have like their favorite player
But
who
it
was
won't be
wearing.
FIFA anymore, Drew. EA Sports Soccer Club.
That's right. Soccer club. Holy shit. Bloody yeah. The American version, the soccer club.
That's probably what they'll call it too.
Oh fuck! If they do that, then they'll be right in the street. No one will buy it. They should call it EA Sports Soccer Club in Europe.
Yeah, but that's the thing is like I think like the name FIFA is cemented. I hate to say it, but like think of how many FIFA games there have been now.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? And then
Since, like, the
moving it
90s,
to
yeah.
moving it to I hate like it sounds like the most pretentious shit ever to me. Electronic Arts fucking football club or whatever you want to call it. Like literally putting their company's name in the title.
It's in the game. It's in the name. Whatever they say at the start of the EA game.
It's in the game.
Yeah, exactly. It's
but-
in it.
I feel like that's the most pretentious shit ever. Like, I don't know. They could have done anything else with the title that probably would have sounded a bit more flashy and probably a bit more recognizable. But yeah, I don't know. Like, I think that name change is going to make more of a difference than you probably think. Obviously, there's not a lot of competition in terms of soccer games. That I'll agree with. But I do feel like losing brand recognition loses a lot of steam. It does.
What would be hilarious is like, we get to the end of the financial year, we work out that Mario Strikers sold like 20 million copies because all the FIFA people picked it up. Like, oh.
They might, because they might be like, oh, I'm sick of spending money on microtransactions, and this is actually kind of fun beating the fuck out of people. You don't know that.
That's right. Look, I'm really looking forward to Strikers. I think that's where we'll put a pin in this conversation. Just like Strikers comes out next month, we're going to have a...
No, we're not going to have to worry about EA Sports FC anymore.
Yeah, well, on Switch, we get... What do we get? The Legacy Edition? It's like, get fucked, EA. What is this shit? Like, I mean, it's just frustrating because, like, where we're sitting now, the Switch has sold 107 million units. And we get a Legacy Edition. I get that it's a pain to develop for because it's so much work compared to the other versions of dumbing it down and stuff. But, don't know. A portable FIFA would be pretty cool.
Would be
pretty cool.
I don't think FIFA's a bad game. By the way, I guess I just have to pretext that. Well, post-text that. I don't think FIFA's a bad game. I think FIFA's an alright game. I just don't think the brand recognition is going to help. Like, yeah, it's really weird. People are like mosquitoes, man. That's what it is. It'll lose sales, unfortunately. That's what it is.
Yeah, I'm interested. I don't think it will like just sell the same. I don't think it will sell more. Definitely not. But I don't know if it's going to take like a massive hit. But could be wrong. At the end of the day,
they have a reason. They have a reason they're trying to be bought. They're worried. They're worried it's not going to do the same.
Yeah, I would like to actually hear an interview where we actually get like the official reasoning being like, hey, look, we just want more opportunities with another company. I don't know.
Nah.
Just get bought by Microsoft. Just really create just a big monopoly. Yeah, just a big conglomerate. Get everything in Game Pass. Why not? Yeah. At this point.
Anyway.
Actually, Nintendo should buy them. There you go. Boom. Could you imagine that? Just like none of the games actually work on the system. So, what's the point of this?
Beautiful.
Anyway, it brings to the end of the news, Bryce. How do you feel about that, my friend?
What a news-tastic week.
Yeah, it's what a news-tastic week. It's great. So let's go into the Red Coin releases, and I reckon we'll get out of here. Yes?
Yes. My wife's got to use the kitchen.
Oh, right, yep. So, Bryce, this is a game I picked out just for you. It's Beach Girls Don't Lie in Summer. You can get it for $7.50 on the Nintendo eShop. And the write-up is, lying is not a good thing to do, especially in love. So behave well and be sincere as well as quick in giving your answers. In love, the most important thing is confidence. Show that you are a seducer and win the heart of the girl of your dreams. Don't lie. If you fail, she will know it and you won't conquer her love. Features. As you progress, the questions start to get more personal and racy. More than 20 different questions. Different endings depending on how many questions you answer. One open chest to unlock images of the girls on the beach. Unveil the secrets and hot question the girls will ask you in question 150. Remember not to lie. Prove your ability to win the girl's heart. So that's fantastic. It looks like I mentioned this to Bryce, it looks like an iPad game from 2008. But absolutely fantastic. And I see that you can unlock a nice anime picture of a girl in a bikini. So fantastic. If you're a bit lazy, you want to answer no questions at all, just go and type beach girls in Google search. That'll find you a good time.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure it will.
So next up, we got Cotton Fantasy. You can get this for $60 on the Australian eShop, so a bit more than Beach Girls, but it might be a bit more of a substantial title. Who knows? So accompany Cotton and Silk on a brand new adventure, joined by iconic characters from the Cotton series and various guests. Something sinister is in the making. The Willows are vanishing from Fairyland, and the Fairy Queen asks Silk to seek the witch Natta D. Cotton for help. For a lifetime, all-you-can-eat Willow supply, as she has her insatiable craving for them, Cotton is willing to help her out, an old friend, and embark on another adventure together. So this is like a sort of a shoot-'em-up game, moving from side to side. Looks interesting. For $60, I don't know, doesn't capture my attention, but it's probably one of the more prominent games on the eShop this week. It's a very slow week after the indie world from the week before, which we got a decent amount of stuff.
Yeah, true.
And last but not least, Bryce, we got Snow Bros Nick and Tom special. You can get it for $30 on the eShop. The classic arcade game is back in a modern version. Two snowball-hurling snowman brothers power their way through various enemies. A blast from the past. Nick and Tom are back in this fun and easy-to-play action platformer. Got some little dot points here. I love dot points on the eShop. You really get to know the features. Easy. Yeah, get to know the features of the game. So, look, they got to sell us with these 3 dot points alone. Are they going to sell us and get us away from our $30? The character arcade platform game, first released in 1990 by Toplan, is in a new version with remastered graphics and music. Okay. Contains the 50 levels from the original plus 30 new levels. Play alone or together with a friend to save Snowland from the evil king. So yeah, I don't know if I know that much more about the game after that, but
Evil king.
Yeah, so it's like a 2D game with a hand-drawn art style. It looks okay. It doesn't capture my attention straight away, but maybe a demo or something would be nice too. So if you want to go check out these games, there's links in the show notes. Go and check out pictures on the eShop. So Bryce, that brings us to the end of the show, my friend.
Beautiful.
How do you feel about it?
Well, it was a nice little romp of a show.
It was a nice little romp of a show, wasn't it?
Nice little romp of a show.
It was nice to catch up with you, talk to you about things, and we have
It was, yeah.
Interesting how we have a big discussion about EA Sports Football Club. I didn't know that was going to happen, but Bryce is very passionate about his football.
No, I was very surprised to see EA saying they were giving up. To be honest,
arms in the air. Fuck this, they say. Fat enough.
Well, I mean, like the acquisition for Activision made sense because Bobby Kotick wanted to fucking get out of that situation ASAP with all his money. But like, yeah, what is EA hiding then? You know? Oh Christ!
Yes,
makes me upset.
No, it makes me upset too, Bryce. But it is what it is. And what doesn't make me upset is I'm going to close the doors on this episode. So, Bryce, thank you very much for joining me. It's nice to have you here again. Catch up with you.
Of course, yeah.
So what's going on. And when we close the doors, remember there is the House of Mario Encore, so you can go and check that out. We've got some interesting episodes up at the moment. I did an interview with Barry, and he is from Premium Edition Games, and we had a great conversation about physical collecting. Also, a couple of weeks ago, with our good friend Joshua from Nintenvania, did a book club sort of discussion about Reggie's brand new book, Disturbing the Game, which was a lot of fun.
Disrupting, you fool.
Oh, well, he can disturb the game too. That's his second book. We've already read it.
Disturbing the game. He just walks into Furukawa's office. He just like drops his pants.
And it's just like the disturb. It's like, ooh.
Disturbing the game.
So yeah, go and check out Encore at the House of Mario on your podcast player of choice. But until then, the doors to this episode are closed. We'll catch you later.
Ciao, Bella.